Good day, guys. Previously, yung mga discussions natin revolved around solid objects. Ngayon naman, in this video lecture, we will be discussing fluids. To start our discussion, let us review yung mga phases of matter natin. So we have four, or actually five, no, if you consider plasma and colloids. Pero stick lang tayo sa tatlong ordinary phases of matter natin. So we have here your solid, liquid, and gas. When we say solid, generally, meron siyang fixed size and shape. Unless meron kang force na ina-apply na magde-deform sa kanya, no? Eh di, syempre, magbabago yung shape niyan, di ba? So, particles making up a solid object is compact or tightly packed. Ibig sabihin, yung particles natin magkakalapit, no? So, onti lang yung space in between them. Tapos, etong mga particles din are in their fixed positions. Si liquid naman, it does not maintain a fixed shape. On its own, wala siyang sariling shape, pero it takes the shape of a container kung saan siya nalagay. And that is because nagfo-flow sila. And pagka tumingin tayo sa ayos ng liquid particles, generally, mas malayo yung particles sa isa't isa compared sa solids. And what allows liquids to flow is that yung mga particles natin are not fixed, no? Hindi katulad ng sa solids. So yung particles, free silang gumalaw-galaw around each other. And lastly, we have gas. So eto, wala siyang fixed shape nor volume. Katulad ng liquids, it also takes the shape of the container kung saan siya nalagay. Ang difference lang nila, ino-occupy nila yung buong container. Kasi yung mga particles mag-i-spread out yan. So yung gas mag-e-expand para ma-fill yung buong container. So example niyan, pag naglagay ka ng hangin sa isang gulong, yung hangin is spread out para ma-fill upan yung buong volume ng gulong. Pero pagka naglagay tayo ng tubig sa gulong, for example, mananatili lang yung tubig sa baba. Ayun yung difference ng liquid tsaka gas. Okay? Pero collectively, si liquid tsaka si gas are known as fluids. Kasi wala silang fixed shape and they both have the ability to flow. Okay? Proceed tayo on the discussion on density, unit weight, and specific gravity. So etong mga to are important characteristic properties of pure substances, whether solid or fluid yan. In our fluid statics and dynamics, syempre, gamit na gamit tong mga properties na to para makapag-solve tayo. Okay? So let us discuss density and unit weight. So ano ba talaga to? So let us try to define what they are. So si density is the mass per unit volume. Simple enough, tama ba? Pero sige, ganito Di ba mass is how much stuff is in an object. So, gaano kadaming particle, gaano kadaming matter, ganon. And syempre, consider din dyan kung gaano kabigat yung mga particle na yan. And what we mean dun sa bigat is kung gaano ba kadaming protons tsaka neutrons yung meron dyan. Okay? Ngayon, pag sinabi nating density, which is yung mass per unit volume, basically, sinasabi lang yan kung gaano ba kapak ng particle or matter yung isang substance or material. So example guys, pag meron tayong iron tsaka wood, so dito we are just talking about the material Ano sa tingin niyo yung mas mabigat? O syempre sagot niyo yung iron, di ba? Pero mas magandang sabihin dito no, na iron is more dense than wood. Kasi material property yung pinag-uusapan natin Wherein, same volume is implied for both materials. Okay? Pero pagka naging specific tayo, say we have an iron nail and a wooden log, ano sa tingin nyo yung mas mabigat? Siyempre, yung wooden log na, di ba? In this case kasi, may volume na involved. So this time, mass na yung tinutukoy natin, which depends on both the volume and the density. So let me repeat, pag material yung pinag-uusapan, mas tamang sabihin na iron is more dense than wood. Hindi lang basta-basta mas mabigat. Okay? O ano naman si unit weight? So that is just the weight per unit volume or the gravitational force acting on a volume of material. And basically, this is just density multiplied by the acceleration due to gravity. Kasi nga weight to di ba? Tas mass naman tong si density. And etong dalawang to, madalas silang gamitin interchangeably. Pero you have to take note dun sa pinagkaiba nila. Again, si density is mass, si unit weight is weight. So, etong unit weight pala, tinatawag din siyang specific weight. Okay? Density pala guys is denoted by rho. And yung equation natin for this is mass divided by volume. So, ang unit natin for this is usually kilograms per cubic meters. It can be grams per cubic meter, milligrams per cubic meter, or cubic centimeter, or cubic millimeter, no? Basta unit for mass over unit for volume. Unit weight naman is denoted by gamma, and our equation for this is weight over volume. Ang unit natin for this is usually newtons per cubic meter. It can be in kilonewtons, meganewtons as well, ganon. Tapos, over cubic centimeter, cubic millimeter. It can also be in pounds per cubic inches or cubic feet pagka freedom units tayo, no? Basta unit for force over unit for volume. And gaya ng sabi ko kanina, unit weight is just density multiplied by the acceleration due to gravity. So, ito yung relationship ng dalawa. Okay? Next, we also have specific gravity, also known as our relative density. So, ratio siya ng density or unit weight of a substance to the density or unit weight ng tubig at a temperature of 4 degrees Celsius. Una sa lahat, ratio siya. Ibig sabihin, unitless siya. So, wag niyong lalagyan ng unit to ha. Okay? So, si specific gravity, sinasabi lang neto kung gaano ba kabigat yung isang object or substance kumpara sa tubig. Ngayon, bakit 4 degrees Celsius? Kasi at this temperature, pinaka-dense yung tubig tsaka pinaka-stable. Ibig sabihin, mas reliable yung comparison natin. Okay? So, si specific gravity, ginagamit to know kung magfo-float ba yung isang object sa isang liquid. Pwede din for material identification. Tsaka sa fluid mechanics generally. Basically, gamit na gamit siya sa engineering. No? Pero to put it simply, importanteng property siya or characteristic ng isang material na ginagamit natin for solving. Okay? So, eto yung statement na yan in equation, guys. So, eto naman yung ginagamit natin na density tsaka unit weight ng tubig at 4 degrees Celsius to compute for the specific gravity. So, if we rewrite these equations pala, no, we can solve for the density of a substance, ayan, and the unit weight of a substance as long as we know the characteristic specific gravity of a substance. So, here are some of our specific gravities for common liquids, no? Ayan. Most likely, ayan na din yung gagamitin nyo for your hydraulics. O if hindi man exactly yan, meron lang onting deviation sa mga values na yan. Okay? Take note din pala guys, no, na ito is only for liquids and solids. So, iba naman for gases. Sa gases, we are comparing a gas to another gas and that is usually air. So, eto ngayon yung magiging equation na to. And if we rewrite this, no, pwede nating ma-solve yung density or unit weight ng gas. So, etong equation sa baba. So, yung density ng air natin, guys, is around 1.2 kilograms per cubic meter. So, hindi ko na nilagay dito kasi paiba-iba yan eh. Okay? Pero ganun yan nagre-range dun sa value na yun. Sige, sagot tayo ng examples. So, the approximate volume of the granite monolith known as El Capitan in Yosemite National Park. Tama ba yung pronunciation ko? Basta yun, no? So, it is about 10 raised to 8 cubic meters daw. So, what is its approximate mass? So, looking at the knowns and unknowns, no? We can solve this problem just using this equation. So, rho is equal to mass over volume. So dito, alam na natin yung volume tsaka yung density. These are both given in the problem. Isusubstitute na lang natin yan. Okay? So we have 2.7 times 10 raised to 3 equal to our unknown mass over 10 raised to 8. Now solving for M, we get 2.7 times 10 raised to 12 kilograms. So ayan na yung sagot natin. Okay? Next problem. What is the approximate mass of air in a living room that is 5.6 by 3.6 by 2.4 meters? Okay? So to solve this problem, again, gamitin lang natin itong equation na to. So we have our rho equal to mass over volume. So given sa problem, we know what our density is. Pwede din nating ma-solve yung volume natin, no, from the dimensions of the room given. O rectangular prism lang yan, no? So hopefully alam nyo yan. You just have to multiply them. O, di ba? That is just length times width times height. Okay? O, substitute na natin yung mga values. Diretsoin na natin, ha. So we have here 1.29, which is the density of air, equal to our unknown mass M over the volume of the room. So that is 5.6 times 3.6 times 2.4. Solving for the mass of the air in the room, we get 62.4154 kilograms. So, ayan na yung sagot, guys. Okay? Sige. Last example for this subtopic. So, sabi dito, 3 liquids that will not mix are poured into a cylindrical container. The volumes and densities of the liquid are as follows. So, yung unang liquid, meron siyang 0.5 liters na volume and then 2.6 grams per cubic centimeters na density. Our second liquid has a volume of 0.25 liters and a density of 1 gram per cubic centimeter. And for the last liquid, meron siyang volume na 0.4 liters and a density of 0.8 grams per cubic centimeters. So what is the force on the bottom of the container due to these liquids? So this is our cylindrical container, no? Ngayon, lagay natin dito yung mga liquids natin. So, we have here your liquid 1. Nasa bottom siya kasi it is more dense compared to the two other liquids, no? With 2.6 grams per cubic centimeter na density. So, liquids with higher densities kasi tend to sink, no? Tas yung mga mas magaan or less dense, syempre, mananatili yan sa taas. Next, we have liquid 2. So, yan ang susunod kasi it is lighter than liquid 1. Kasi, 1 gram per cubic centimeter lang yung density niyan, di ba? Compared sa nasa baba niya na 2.6. Then next is the least dense, which is our liquid 3. Siyempre, ayan na yung nasa taas kasi ayan yung pinaka-less dense. Actually, for this problem, hindi naman siya gaanong ka-crucial, no? Yung ayos nito. Pero syempre, we still want this to be conceptually correct kahit di natin talaga siya magagamit. Okay? To start, as you can see, our units are not uniform. So we need them to be uniform. So convert natin yung mga volumes natin to cubic centimeters. For volume of liquid 1, we just have to multiply our conversion factors. So in here, ginawa natin is from liters to cubic meters first, no? And then afterwards is from cubic meters to cubic centimeters. So we get here 500 cubic centimeters. And then we just have to do that, no, for all our volumes. So volume of liquid 2 is 250 cubic centimeters. And then for liquid 3, that is 400 cubic centimeters. After this, pwede na nating isolve yung pinapahanap talaga. Using this equation. Again, no, rho is equal to mass over volume. Pag nira-write natin yan, we can solve for the value of your mass. So let us do that, no. We have 3 liquids, so magkakaroon din tayo ng iba't ibang masses for our liquids, no. So we have here mass 1, we have here mass 2, and mass 3. So let us now substitute values since we know naman our densities and our volumes, no. For mass 1, that is 2.6 times 500. Refer na lang kayo sa previous slide, no, for the volumes. Para sure kayo na 500 talaga yan. Okay? So, sagot dito is 1,300 grams. For mass 2, that is 1 times 250. Sagot is 250 grams. And then, mass 3, that is 0.8 times 400. Sagot is 320 grams. Okay? Ngayon, add na lang natin lahat yan, no? So, our total is 1,870 grams or in kilograms, that is 1.87. O, mas goods na in kilograms tayo, okay? Para in newtons yung makuha nating force. Okay, guys? So, solving for the force, we just multiply our acceleration due to gravity. So, that is 1.87 times 9.81. So, sagot natin dyan is 18.3447. So, ayan yung bigat ng tatlong liquid na yan together. And syempre, pinapasa nila yan sa bottom ng cylindrical container. Okay? Next, let us discuss pressure. So, this is the force per unit area. Basically, kung gaano ba spread out yung isang force over an area. In equation, that is just F over A. And denoted pala si pressure natin, guys, by P, no? So, this may look familiar. Para siyang yung stress natin. Pero, magkaiba yan sila. Stress is internal, guys, whereas pressure is external. Tapos, nagkakaroon tayo ng stress whether pahila, patulak, or kahit pa-sideways yung forces natin. Pero sa pressure, palaging patulak yung force na yan. Okay, guys? Si pressure din pala is a scalar quantity. So this F right here should be the magnitude of the force. So di ba from previous discussions natin, nakafocus tayo on forces alone. So hindi pa natin nasisilip, di ba, yung pinanggalingan ng force or kung ano or sino ba yung nag-e-exert ng force. Ngayon, i-consider na natin yan. Kasi, ayun yung panggagalingan ng area natin para masolve natin yung pressure. So, for example, meron tayong dalawang blocks dito, no? So, etong blue na block will interact with the orange block. So, it will exert a push on the orange block. So, meron tayong force dito coming from the blue block. So, the face of the blue block that is facing the orange block is in contact with the orange block. Ibig sabihin, ayan yung contact area nila. Basically, ayan na din yung A natin. So, yung force coming from the push galing sa blue block is spread out dyan sa area na yan. So, if we just divide this force by this area, then makukuha na natin yung pressure being exerted on the orange block by the blue block. So, basically, that is pressure, no? Ngayon, ang unit natin dito is Pascal, abbreviated as PA. So, this is in honor of Blaise Pascal, no? Yung pinanggalingan ng Pascal's principle that we will be discussing later on. So, itong Pascal unit natin is just newtons per square meter. So, this is pressure in general, okay? Let us also try to frame this in the context of fluids. So, in here, no, we have two orange blocks. And dadaganan natin yan with these two blocks sa taas. So we have here a solid sa left, no, and then a liquid on the right side. So imagine na lang tayo na parang meron tayong invisible container sa right side na babagsakan ng liquid para i-contain yung shape na yan. Okay? So ganito yung mangyayari. So the solid stays on top of the orange block, tas yung liquid will submerge the orange block kasi nga flowing yung liquid di ba? Ngayon, tingin tayo sa part ng orange block that is experiencing pressure. First, our figure on the left. So nakadagan lang yung solid natin dun sa may block, di ba? So the force here comes from the weight of the solid. Now, what part of the block is in contact with the solid? O, di ba ito? So the pressure is being exerted only at the top of the block. Okay? Sa figure naman sa right side, we can see na yung buong block is in contact with the liquid. Kasi submerged eh. Kumbaga parang niyayakap siya ng tubig. So each face in the block, no, is a contact area. And there are forces here coming from the fluid that is directed perpendicularly towards the faces. That is again because of the flow ng liquid. So yung particles gustong banggain yung block, no? Gusto nilang mag-flow towards the block kasi etong ino-occupy ng block is a volume ng liquid na dinisplace niya na supposedly dapat ino-occupy ng liquid. Kaya gusto nilang pumunta dyan. Okay? Kumbaga, space namin, parang ganun yung sinasabi ng liquid. Sana nagigets, no? Sige ganito, kung pumapailalim kayo sa dagat o sa swimming pool, o 'di ba mafi-feel niyo na parang nako-compress kayo ng tubig? That is because nako-compress talaga kayo, okey? Yung nangyayari sa block dito, gano'n din yung nangyayari sa inyo. Basically guys, the liquid or fluid exerts pressure in all directions, okay? So all the faces of the block is experiencing pressure. So you also have to take note guys that the pressure na ine-exert ng fluid is always perpendicular to any solid surface na in contact sa kanya. Now, let us try to take a look at a fluid at rest. Let's say a liquid na nasa container. So in here, we are just taking or considering a sample ng mismong liquid din na yan, which is etong tiny cube na nakikita nyo dito. So hindi yan ibang solid object tulad nung pinapakita natin kanina. Okay? So eto, sobrang liit niya. Sabihin na lang natin infinitely small cube of liquid yan. So tulad nung sa pinakita natin previously, similar to the pressure exerted on the block, meron din tayong pressure exerted on this tiny cube of liquid in all directions perpendicular to the surfaces. And lahat ng pressure na yan are equal, no? As it should, kasi pagka nagkaroon tayo ng instability, edi ibig sabihin, aarangkada yung tiny cube na yan, di ba? Nasa fluids at rest nga tayo. So, kailangan at equilibrium yan. So, tignan natin yung pressure at the top of the tiny cube of liquid. So, recall lang muna natin yung equation natin for pressure. Ayan. So, yung A dito is the top surface of our tiny cube. As for our force naman, manggagaling siya dito. Okay? So, ayan yung liquid sa taas ng tiny cube. So, the force here is basically the weight of the liquid or the fluid column at the top of the tiny cube. And di ba pwede natin kunin yung weight ng column na yan using our equations kanina sa density at unit weight. So if we know the density or unit weight of the liquid, so our rho or ρg, pati yung area ng surface ng tiny cube which is etong A, also the depth h, no, which is technically the height ng column ng liquid na to, edi pwede natin yung masolve. Okay? Again, yung pressure na yan is the pressure being experienced by the tiny cube in all its surfaces. So, paano kung tumingin tayo sa mas mababang part ng liquid natin? Tingin ulit tayo ng tiny cube of this liquid at a much lower part ng liquid natin. So, as you can see, the column of liquid on top of the tiny cube becomes longer. Basically, lalaki siya. Meaning, bibigat yung binubuhat ng tiny cube from the top. E di lalaki yung force, tas pag lalaki yung force, lalaki yung pressure. Therefore, we can say that pressure is directly proportional to the depth. So habang lumalalim kayo, palaki yung pressure. Okay? And tama naman. Say for example, nagda-dive ka sa dagat. So the deeper you go, the higher the pressure you feel. And magre-react naman yung katawan mo pagka ganyan, di ba? Kasi sasakit yung ulo mo, yung tenga mo, tapos mahihirapan kang huminga, ganon, no? That is because binubuhat mo yung bigat ng liquid above you. And the lower you go, lalaki at lalaki yung liquid na binubuhat mo, so nako-compress ka ng nako-compress. Okay? Ngayon, compute natin how pressure varies with depth. So, bali, i-derive lang natin yung equation for pressure, no, in terms of our depth h. So, say, meron tayong liquid dito in a container. So, dito guys, tingin lang tayo sa maliit na cube sa loob. So, what we want to do here, no, is kunin yung pressure dito. Okay? So, recalling our equation for pressure, we have here force over area. So, our area is the area of the bottom face of the cube. Bale, itong naka-red na area din. Our force naman comes from this cube right here. Basically, yung weight niyan, no? And so, our equation becomes weight divided by the area. And again, gaya nung sabi ko kanina, we can solve for W or our weight using our equations kanina on density and unit weight. So, in terms of our unit weight, W becomes gamma times depth times area. And now, as you can see here, meron tayong A sa taas tsaka sa baba. So we can now cancel A. So pressure then is equal to gamma H. Or if gamit natin is density, so that is rho GH. Okay? So meron na tayong equation for pressure in terms of height. So we can also solve for the pressure difference between two depths. Say dito sa depth na to, tsaka dito sa depth na to. Ngayon at these depths, no, meron silang magkaibang pressure. Now for us to solve for the pressure difference between these two depths, kailangan lang natin silang ipag-subtract. So our delta P is just the pressure at the deeper depth, P2, minus the pressure at the shallower depth, P1. So at point 2, sa deeper depth, ito yung volume of liquid on top of it na nagpo-push down sa kanya causing pressure. Pero wag na tayong bumalik sa sa P equal to F over A dito Pwede na lang natin gamitin si rho GH para makuha yung pressure at point 2. So our depth here no is just H2. 4.1 naman, ito yung liquid on top of it no. With a height of H1. So solving for our pressure at point 1, we have here rho GH1. Now, substitute na lang natin yung equation for pressure 2 and pressure 1 sa equation natin sa taas. So our pressure difference between these two depths is just rho GH minus rho GH1. So labas lang natin yung rho G, no? So we have here rho G times H2 minus H1. Okay? So etong H2 and H1, if we subtract them, so that is just the difference in elevation. And ito yung depth na yan, di ba? And so pwede nating palitan yung H2 minus H1 into delta H. So that will be our general equation for pressure difference between two depths. Okay? So let us answer examples. A 60 kilogram person's 2 feet cover an area of 500 square centimeters. Determine the pressure exerted by the feet on the ground. Tapos letter B, if the person stands on 1 foot, what will be the pressure under that foot? So this is pressure guys in general, no? We will just be using here your pressure equals force over area. So yung force dito comes from the weight of the person. Ayan yung nag-exert ng force sa ground. So solving for our F, that is mass times gravity lang, no? So that is 60 times 9.81. So our force here is 588.6 newtons. For our area naman, the contact area ng ground tsaka ng paa ng tao dito sa problem. So 500 square centimeters daw. So let us convert this into square meters, no? So our area in meters is 0.05 square meters. So substituting our values, equation natin for pressure, we have 588.6 divided by 0.05. So sagot natin is 11,772 pascals. Okay? And for letter B, huwag na natin sagutin yan guys. Tayo na lang mag-try niyan. Okay? For letter B. So, bale, ano lang naman yan liliit lang yung contact area, di ba? Sige, next example. The surface of the water in a storage tank is 30 meters above a water faucet in the kitchen of a house. Calculate the difference in water pressure between the faucet and the surface of the water in the tank. Looking at the figure, di ba dito tayo i-start. So, we are to look at this point sa elevation na to. Also, sa point na to, dito sa my faucet. So, we just have to take the pressure difference at these elevations. So, etong route na to ng tubig, wala tayong pake dyan, no? At least for this example. Saka lang nagiging importante yan pagka meron tayong iba't ibang klase ng liquid sa loob ng tank tsaka sa pipe. For this example, the delta H given here is enough for us to solve the problem. Simplihan lang natin yung pag-iisip. Kasi 'di ba, recalling our equation for pressure difference, we have here delta P equal to rho GH, rho G delta H, tapos gamma delta H. Delta H lang naman yung nandiyan eh, 'di ba? O wag niyo nang i-complicate yung mga bagay-bagay. O reserve na lang natin sa hydraulics nyo yung mas complicated na examples dito. Okay? So substituting values, we know that water has a density of 1,000 kilogram per cubic meters, no? Times 9.81 times 30. Or using gamma delta H, that is 9.81 times 10 raised to 3 times 30. Technically, parehas lang naman yan. Pagka sinimplify natin yung nasa taas, di ba? So, solving for our delta P, we get 294,300 pascals, or in kilopascals, that is 294.3. So, sa context na itong problem na to, mas magandang nasa kilopascals tayo. Kasi that is typically what we use in our water supply system. Water supply system yan, di ba? Mas magme-make sense to, no, once na mag-plumbing design kayo sa akin. Okay? Share ko lang. So, let us also discuss atmospheric pressure, gauge pressure, and absolute pressure. So, first, we have the atmospheric pressure. So, pressure to ng Earth's atmosphere, malamang, no? Pero ganito, same idea or concept pa din naman to sa pressure natin in general. So, hindi mo lang siya nakikita, no? Pero there is air pushing down on you kasi hinihila ni gravity si air pababa. Okay? That is technically how atmospheric pressure works, no? So, ito yung units natin na ginagamit for atmospheric pressure aside from, of course, yung pascals. We have here your atmosphere na unit, abbreviated as ATM. So, one atmosphere, guys, is equal to 101.325 kilopascals. So, itong 101.325 is our standard sea level pressure. So, pag nasa sea level ka, tapos normal conditions, yung atmospheric pressure that you are experiencing is naglalaro sa value na yan. Okay? Next, we have bar. So, 1 bar is equal to 100 kilopascals. Then we also have torque, which is a unit named after Evangelista Torricelli, no, who invented a measuring device used to measure atmospheric pressure. So that device is the barometer. So I will be explaining later kung ano yung barometer. Pero going back, 760 torr is equal to 760 millimeters of mercury. So basically, 1 torr is 1 millimeter of mercury. Pero etong 760 millimeters of mercury kasi is just equal to our sea level pressure na 101.325 kilopascals, or at least ayan yung pressure na binibigay ng reading na to. Kasi this is our mercury barometer measurement. Okay? Ngayon, pag-usapan natin itong si barometer. Okay? So this is what a barometer looks like. So meron siyang dish sa baba. And then, meron siyang long glass tube sa gitna. Typically, yung liquid na nandito sa barometer is a mercury. Kaya nga from our previous slide, no, yung 1 torr is equal to 1 millimeter of mercury, di ba? So, paano ba ito nag-work? Paano ba mini-measure nito yung atmospheric pressure? Sige, ganito. Di ba in our long glass tube, you can see here na umakyat yung liquid, di ba? So we can get the pressure difference from here to here. Ayan. And technically, since zero naman yung pressure sa taas, dito sa surface ng liquid at the long glass tube, kasi meron tayong void above it, no, where pressure is zero. So walang pumupush down sa kanya at that point. Therefore, yung pressure dito sa baba na point is just equal to the pressure difference. Okay? Ngayon, since continuous naman yung liquid, kasi isang buong volume lang ng liquid yung nandito sa disk, tsaka yung nandito sa glass tube, di ba? So magkasama lang 'yan. So our pressure at that point, at the bottom ng glass tube, is just similar to the pressure at the surface of the liquid dito sa dish. And Yung pressure ngayon na yan is just the atmospheric pressure. As you can see here, that is P equal to P atmosphere. So, to put it simply, para masolve natin yung atmospheric pressure, you just have to solve for the pressure difference ng liquid natin inside the tube from its surface hanggang sa depth na ka-level niya yung surface ng liquid sa dish. So, our equation for this is rho G delta H. Or, if mercury barometer tayo, that is rho Hg G delta H. Okay? So, to explain lang din, no, nagkakaroon tayo ng pag-angat ng tubig sa glass tube because the atmospheric pressure is pushing on the liquid sa dish. So, syempre, the liquid will also be displaced. So, maghahanap ngayon ng pupuntahan yung liquid na yan, kaya aakyat siya pataas ng glass tube. Okay? Another thing to take note of pala, so there is always atmospheric pressure as long as open yung pipe or open yung container. So you can consider it, no? Pwede ding hindi, depende na lang sa kailangan mo. Basta kailangan mong tandaan na may atmospheric pressure pagka open yung pipe or container. Basta't may pasukan ng hangin dun sa may pipe or container, itutulak yung liquid or fluids or fluid inside. Okay? We also have the gauge pressure. So this is the pressure na mini-measure ng mga gauges natin tulad nito, malamang, no? Pero sige, eto guys is the pressure measured relative to the atmosphere or the atmospheric pressure. Parang sinasabi nito how higher or lower the pressure is compared sa surroundings. So if zero yung gauge pressure natin, yung actual pressure natin is the same as our atmospheric pressure. Okay? So yung gauge pressure natin can be positive or negative. So pag mas mataas kesa sa zero, or that means positive, di ba? Ibig sabihin, mas mataas kesa atmospheric yung actual pressure natin. And if mas mababa naman sa zero, or that is negative, or vacuum pressure, ibig sabihin, mas mababa sa atmospheric pressure yung actual pressure. Ngayon, yung actual pressure na sinasabi ko is not the gauge pressure, okay? Baka malito kayo eh. Pero sige, to put it simply, you can just think of gauge pressure as the pressure wherein atmospheric pressure is ignored. Even after everything I said no about gauge pressure being measured relative to the atmospheric pressure. Okay? So an example of a measuring device for a gauge pressure is the open tube manometer. So ginagamit natin to measure the gauge pressure of a gas. So meron tayong YouTube dito sa baba, no, na filled with liquid. Meron tayong vessel containing the gas. Tapos at the end of the tube, open yan to the atmosphere. Ibig sabihin, meron tayong atmospheric pressure. Pero as I said kanina lang, you basically ignore atmospheric pressure when you are considering gauge pressure. Kaya at this pressure P naught na nakaturo dyan, zero yan. Okay? So, paano ba nag-work si open tube manometer? Ganito. So, let's say meron tayong YouTube dito filled with a liquid. Pag at rest lang siya dyan, yung surface natin magka-level. So, wag nyo na lang pansinin yung PA dyan. That is just the atmospheric pressure, no? Ngayon, paano kung dito sa isang side or end ng tube natin mag-apply tayo ng pressure? Siyempre, matutulak yan. Consequently, yung tubig gagalaw. So, yung tubig at the other end, tataas. That is exactly what is happening dito sa open tube manometer natin. So, ang nagkukos lang ng tulak dito sa open tube manometer is the pressure from the gas inside this vessel. So, para makuha natin yung pressure sa gas, so kailangan lang natin ng pressure dito. Again, yung liquid natin dito is continuous. Ibig sabihin, yung pressure dyan is just similar sa pressure dito. Kasi same depth yan. Okay? O, tawagin natin na itong depth na to as level 2. Next, let us consider the surface of the liquid. Tawagin natin yung level 1. So, kukunin natin dito yung pressure difference between level 1 and level 2. Tapos basically, yung pressure difference na yan will just be the pressure at level 2. Tapos, yung pressure at level 2 will now then be the pressure of the gas inside the vessel. Okay? And so, our equation for the pressure of the gas is rho g delta H. O, parang ganun lang din, no? So, di ba, sabi ko kanina, actual pressure, no? So, ito yung actual pressure na tinutukoy ko. So, sabi dito, measured siya relative to absolute vacuum or a zero pressure. So, ito, hindi na tayong pwedeng mag-negative, no? Kasi hindi dapat bababa ng zero yung absolute pressure. So, etong absolute pressure is the combined atmospheric and gauge pressure. So, para makuha natin yung absolute pressure, of course, kailangan lang natin silang ipag-add. Okay? Let us answer an example. So, sabi, assuming specific weight of air to be constant at 12 Newton per cubic meter. So, what is the approximate height of Mount Banahaw if a mercury barometer at the base of the mountain reads 654 millimeters and at the same time, another mercury barometer at the top of the mountain reads 480 millimeters. So, sabihin natin, no, na ito yung Mount Banahaw. So, meron tayong barometric reading at the top na 480 millimeters of mercury. Sa base naman, meron tayong reading na 654 millimeters of mercury. So, ito yung gagamitin natin to solve for the approximate height of Mount Banahaw. Okay? So, first thing that we have to do, no, is to solve for the equivalent atmospheric pressure for each barometric reading. Recall, guys, that our equation for atmospheric pressure using the barometer is just rho g delta H. For the base, we have here rho Hg, since mercury barometer daw siya, no? Multiplied by G, then times delta H at the base, no? So, ayan yung barometric reading natin at the base, okay? At the top naman, we have rho Hg times G times delta H at the top. Okay? So, in here, you can use unit weight as well. Palitan mo lang yung rho. Palitan mo lang yung rho times G ng gamma. No? You can also solve this using specific gravity of the mercury. And ganun yung gagawin natin dito. No? Kasi mas kabisado ko yung specific gravity ng mercury kesa sa unit weight or density niya. So, that is just 13.6. So, palitan lang natin yung rho Hg times G natin into Sg. Sg of Hg times rho of water. So, gawin din natin yan para sa equation natin for atmospheric pressure at the top. Okay? So, substituting values, no, for the atmospheric pressure at the base, so we have here 13.6 times 1,000 times 9.81 times our reading in meters, so that is 0.654. Doing the same for the atmospheric pressure at the top, you have 13.6 times 1,000 times 9.81 times 0.48. And then, computing, guys, we have here 87,254.064 pascals na atmospheric pressure at the base and 64,039.68 naman at the top. Next, solve natin yung pressure difference at the top and at the base, no? So, ipagsusubtract lang natin yung dalawa. Substituting our solved values from last slide and then compute natin, we get 23,214.384 pascals. After nyan, we can now solve for our delta H using this equation. So, ayan yung equation natin for difference in pressure, di ba? Pero this is in terms of the unit weight or specific weight kasi ayan yung given sa problem. Now, substituting values, we have 23,214.384 equal to 12 times delta H. Solving for delta H, we get 1,934.532 meters. So, ayan na yung sagot natin. So, that is the approximate height of Mount Banahaw. Okay? Let us also discuss the Pascal's principle. So, the Pascal's principle is a discovery made by Blaise Pascal, no? And ito lang naman yung sinasabi niyan. Explain ko na lang dito sa figure na to. Okay? So we have here a container. Tapos meron tayong incompressible fluid sa loob niyan. So liquid yan kasi compressible si gas eh, di ba? Now this is enclosed by this piston at the top, etong green. Okay? So di ba if the fluid is just at rest, our pressure at the bottom is rho GH. However, if we are to apply a downward force sa piston na to, so magkakaroon tayo ng external pressure. So, syempre at the bottom, lalo't lalong mako-compress yan. Therefore, magbabago yung pressure at the bottom. O tawagin na lang natin yung effective pressure. Okay? So, our effective pressure is just the pressure due to the liquid itself, no? Which is yung rho GH and yung added na external pressure natin from the piston. Ngayon, pagka dinagdagan natin yung pressure exerted by the piston, lalaki din yung effective pressure natin sa baba. Ito ngayon yung magiging equation natin. So, dinagdag lang natin itong si change in pressure applied. So, now we can say that our change in effective pressure is just the change in the pressure applied. Basically, ayun na yung sinasabi ng Pascal's principle. Okay? Silipin din natin dito. This is a hydraulic jack, no? Or at least a simple representation of how a hydraulic jack works. So, application to ng Pascal's principle. Looking at the figure, pasok naman, di ba? Kasi we have here a liquid which is an incompressible fluid. Then, enclosed siya since may harang naman sa taas, which is etong mga piston. But, what does this do? Di ba example ng hydraulic jack is yung baon-baon ng mga naka 4 wheels para in case lang magkaroon sila ng flat tire, is may makatulong sa kanila para mapalitan yung gulong. Kasi itong jack na pang sasakyan, no, ginagamit natin siya para maiangat lang ng onte yung sasakyan. Ngayon, si hydraulic jack, for those who are unfamiliar, meron siyang lever. Tapos, binabababa natin yan para mapump, no? And for very little effort, nabubuhat natin paangat yung sasakyan. So, bakit ganun? Explain natin dito. So, looking at the figure, etong mas malaking part na to with a cross-sectional area A2 is the part na pinangbubuhat natin. Dito naman sa my left part or the smaller part, having a cross-sectional area of A1 is the part na may lever na pinag-e-exertan natin ng force. So what does this mean? Dito meron tayong output force kasi nambubuhat nga yan eh. And dito naman meron tayong input force. So again, as I said, for very little effort, nakakabuhat tayo ng mabigat. So as you can see, we have a small input force F1 at the smaller side and sa kabila meron tayong malaking output force F2. Pero bakit? So ganito. The pressure exerted by the small piston and the pressure exerted on the large piston are equal. That means P1 is equal to P2. Pag in-expand natin yan, since alam naman natin na yung pressure is just force over the area, then we have here F1 over A1 equal to F2 over A2. So let us rewrite this para equation for F2 yung makuha natin. So we have here F2 equal to F1 times A2 divided by A1. Looking at this equation, makikita mo na mas malaki si F2 compared kay F1. No? Pero sige, kung hindi nyo makita, lagyan natin ng values yung mga areas natin. Sabihin natin itong A2, the area of the larger piston is 20. Tapos itong A1, the area of the smaller piston is 2. Ngayon, pag pinag-divide natin yan, di ba that is 10? Di ibig sabihin, the magnitude of our F2 is 10 times greater than the magnitude of our F1. Ganun yun. So we can also consider in and out as our subscripts, no, for our notations instead of 1 and 2. So ayun yung mga gamit ng ibang mga nagtuturo eh. And I believe some textbooks, no, ito yung gamit. Let us answer an example. A piston of cross-sectional area small a is used in a hydraulic press to exert a small force of magnitude small f on the enclosed liquid. A connecting pipe leads to a larger piston of cross-sectional area capital A. Letter A, What force magnitude capital F will the larger piston sustain without moving? Letter B, if the piston diameters are 3.80 centimeters and 53 centimeters, what force magnitude on the small piston will balance a 20 kilonewton force on the large piston? Sige, letter A muna. So, equation lang yung hinahanap niyan for the downward force capital F, no? Since wala pa namang given values for letter A. Take note lang that this is our output force dito. So, our output force F dito should be equal to our downward force F. Kasi nga, sabi sa problem, without moving daw. Eh di dapat at equilibrium, no? So, they should be equal. So, basically, pagka nakuha natin itong output force F, ayun na din yung downward force capital letter F natin. To solve this, di ba pressure at the small piston is just equal to the pressure at the larger piston. So that is P1 equal to P2. Pero pag expanded, that is F1 over A1 equal to F2 over A2. So our F1 is the small letter F, A1 is the small letter A, and then F2 is the capital F, and A2 is the capital A. I-write na lang natin to, no, to solve for the equation for capital letter F. So we have here capital F equal to small f times capital A over small a. So that is the force that the piston can sustain, no? Ayun yung equation niyan. Proceed tayo sa letter B. Ngayon, meron na tayong values. So ang sabi dito, we are to balance daw a 20 kilonewton force on the larger piston. Ibig sabihin, both of these forces right here is merong magnitude na 20 kilonewtons. Pero, dito sa upward force lang naman tayo may pake, no, later on sa solving, di ba? Kasi ayan yung output force natin eh. Tapos, diameters yung given din sa atin. Yung figure kasi na provided is just two-dimensional. So, di nyo kita yung cross-section ng piston, no? Pero that is circular kasi diameter yung given. So, for our areas, small a and capital A, we will be using the equation for a circle if diameter yung given. So, that is pi d squared over 4. So, this is the equation that we will be using. Now, let us just plug in our values. So, dito, kinonvert lang natin yung mga given diameters na in centimeters, no? Tapos, kinonvert natin to meters. Proceed tayo sa letter B. Ngayon, meron na tayong values. So, ang sabi dito, we are to balance daw a 20 kilonewton force on the larger piston. Ibig sabihin, both of these forces right here is merong magnitude na 20 kilonewtons. Pero dito sa upward force lang naman tayo may pake later on sa solving, di ba? Kasi ayan yung output force natin eh. Tapos, diameters yung given din sa atin. Yung figure kasi na provided is just two-dimensional. So, di nyo kita yung cross-section ng mismong piston. Pero that is circular. Kasi diameter yung given eh. So, for our areas, small a and capital A, we will be using the equation for a circle if diameter yung given. So, that is pi d squared over 4. So, this is the equation that we will be using. Now, let us just plug in our values. So dito, kinonvert lang natin yung mga given diameters na in centimeters to meters. And then, solving for small letter f, we have here 0.1028 kilonewtons. So ayan yung force na kailangan natin to produce a 20 kilonewton force dun sa kabilang piston. Okay? Next, we have the Archimedes principle. So this was discovered by Archimedes, no? So tungkol to sa buoyant force. So if you are unfamiliar with buoyant force, ito yung upward force na ine-exert ng liquid sa isang object pagka nilagay natin sa liquid. So this is the one causing objects to float, or if masyado namang mabigat yung object, tas lulubog, what the buoyant force does is slow down yung pag-sink niya sa bottom. Okay? So explain ko na lang yung principle na to sa mga figures that I will be showing. Okay? So let's say we have here a container with a liquid, no? And then meron tayong object. So submerge natin yan. Okay? Ngayon, palitawin natin yung mga external forces natin that are acting on this object vertically. So we have here the weight of the object. Alam naman na natin yan. Hindi yan magbabago kahit ibang topic na to. That is still mass times gravity. And then we have here your FB, which is the buoyant force. So this principle, guys, tells us how to solve for the value of the buoyant force. So ganito. So let us take a look at this space or volume taken up by the object. So kumbaga parang tago muna natin yung object, no? And in here we have a void. Ngayon, imaginary lang to for the sake of discussion. Fill upan natin yung void na yan or the space or the volume by the same liquid na ito na nakasubmerge siya ng object. Ngayon ito guys, yung tinutukoy sa principle na fluid displaced by the object. Pero disclaimer lang, especially for the very technical people, no? What we did was not necessarily technically correct. Kaya po nga sinasabi na imaginary lang and for the sake of discussion, di ba? Kasi in reality, yung dinisplace na liquid ng object is nandito lang din, no, sa may liquid natin. Kaya ang umangat yung liquid level nung sinubmerge natin yung object, di ba? So what I am trying to do here is just give you a visual representation ng fluid displaced by the object para lang maintindihan nyo. Ngayon, ito yung mga external forces natin acting on the liquid. So we still have your weight, pero this is different sa kanina na weight. So this is the weight of the imaginary replacement liquid natin dito. Kaya din M prime yan para ma-differentiate natin dun sa una. Ngayon, this mass of the liquid or pararecta na the weight, no, can be solved using these equations from our earlier subtopics, no. The weight then of this liquid can be solved using rho v times g or using unit weight, so that is gamma v. Pero bakit ba natin kinukuha to? Nakalagay na dyan, yung weight daw ng liquid na to that was displaced by the object is the buoyant force. Meaning, para lang tayo nag-static equilibrium dito, di ba, sa mga forces natin. Kasi nga, FB is equal to M prime G. Sige, ngayon balik natin sa object. Now we know our FB and pwede natin i-compare itong weight tsaka itong buoyant force to know if the object will sink or float. Pagka mas mataas yung weight natin compared to the buoyant force, then the object will sink. However, if the weight is smaller than the buoyant force, that means the object will float, or if submerged siya initially, gaya nito, so it will rise up hanggang magkaroon ng static equilibrium between the buoyant force and the weight. So as you saw, habang papaliit at papaliit yung volume na nakasubmerge sa liquid, papaliit at papaliit din yung buoyant force that is acting on the object. So once na same na yung magnitude ng buoyant force sa weight, edi lulutang na lang yan. Okay? Sige, sagot tayo ng example. 5 kg object is released from rest while fully submerged in a liquid. So the liquid displaced by the submerged object has a mass of 3 kilograms. So how far and in what direction does the object move in 0.2 seconds? Assuming that it moves freely and that the drag force on it from the liquid is negligible. So madali lang to guys, no? Medyo mahaba lang yung solution. So baka along the way, baka mawala kayo. Pero don't worry guys, I will hold your baby hands, okay? So start tayo. So etong object is submerged initially. So kailangan lang nating alamin muna kung lulubog ba yan or lulutang. To do that, we first have to solve for the weight of our object. So that is just 5, which is our mass, multiplied to the acceleration due to gravity na 9.81. So the weight of the object then is 49.05 newtons. Next, let us solve for our buoyant force. So that is just M prime times G. Our M prime is already given sa problem. So ayan yung sinasabi na mass of the liquid displaced by the submerged object na 3 kilograms. So solving for our buoyant force, we have here 3 times 9.81, and then computing, our buoyant force therefore is equal to 29.43 newtons. Reflect lang natin yung mga values na yan. And actually from this alone, makikita mo na lulubog to kasi mas mabigat yung weight natin compared sa buoyant force. Pero syempre formal solution pa din tayo. So let us solve for the net force. So that is 29.43 minus 49.05. Net force natin therefore is negative 19.62 kilonewtons. Meaning, pababa yan. Kaya lulubog. So, na-verify natin yung pinagsasabi ko kanina. Okay? Reflect ko lang ulit etong 19.62 na net force natin. So, eto gagalaw siya pababa. So, since we have to compute how far down it has sunk after 0.2 seconds, we need the acceleration produced by this net force. So that meron tayong known kinematic quantity later on to solve for another kinematic quantity. So going back to our Newton's laws of motion, we have here F net equal to ma. Then substituting our values, acceleration na lang yung natira, no? So solving for A, we get negative 3.924 meters per second squared. So negative, meaning pababa yung direction. Reflect ko lang ulit yung acceleration natin dito sa figure. So i-observe natin yung pag-sink nito for 0.2 seconds. And then, hanapin natin itong ginalaw niya pababa. So let us denote this as delta y, no? Recall na lang natin yung mga kinematic equations that we can use. So we can use this one, no? So salpak na lang natin lahat ng known values natin dyan. So, 0 pala yung ano natin yung V naught natin kasi released from rest daw. So, solving for our delta Y now, we get negative 0.0785. So, negative tells us that yung direction is downward. So, palubog siya. Okay? Next example, a block of wood floats in fresh water with 2/3 of its volume V submerged and in oil with 0.90 V submerged. Find the density of A, the wood, and B, the oil. So, unahin muna natin yung nakasubmerge yung block natin sa fresh water, no? So, 2/3 of the total volume of the block is submerged. So, we also have here the weight of the block, mg, and then we also have here the buoyant force, FB. So, since nakalutang naman na yung object dito sa liquid, this means that we are at static equilibrium. Meaning, our buoyant force, FB, is just equal to our weight, mg. So, yung FB natin, no, is just m prime g. Ngayon, palitan natin itong dalawang masses dito. Gawin natin silang in terms of our density and volume. So, yung m prime natin is just rho of fresh water times v prime. So, tinutukoy natin dito yung liquid displaced by the submerged part of the object, no? For our M naman of the block, that is just rho of wood times V, which is the total volume of the wood. And since V prime is the volume of the liquid displaced, basically that is just the volume of the submerged part of the block. So V prime is 2/3 of V, no? So palitan na lang natin yung V prime sa equation. So pwede na nating i-cancel yung V tsaka yung G at both sides of the equation. Also, the density of fresh water is 1,000 kilograms per cubic meter, no? Substitute na din natin dyan. And so, we are left with this equation. Computing, we will get the density of wood equal to 666.6667 kilograms per cubic meter. So, after nyan, pwede na tayong lumipat ng liquid, no? So, lagay din natin yung object natin in oil. This time, 0.9 of the total volume is submerged. Ganun pa din, it is just floating still sa oil, no? So wala nang igagalaw to pataas or pababa, no? Therefore, at static equilibrium tayo. So FB is just equal to our weight mg, and then FB is M prime G. Palitan lang ulit natin yung mga masses natin para maging in terms of density and volume, no? Ayan. So yung V prime natin, this time is 0.9V. O, palitan lang natin yung V prime natin sa equation. Pwede din nating i-cancel yung V and G at both sides, no? So we also know the density of food. Computed kanina yan. So salpak lang natin yan dyan. So that will be raw of oil times 0.9 equal to 666.6667. So solving for the density of oil, we get 740.7407 kilograms per cubic meter. So ayan na yung sagot. Okay? So here is a problem that you can try answering on your own. So pause nyo na lang kasi next na subtopic na tayo. Okay? So napupunta na tayo sa fluid dynamics dito sa mga subtopics na to. So we have first continuity. So explain natin sa next na slide kung ano to, no? So what you are looking at here is a flow of fluid wherein nagkakaroon tayo ng constriction sa flow. So lumilit yung cross section ng fluid flow natin from left to right. So etong nasa taas is the fluid flow initially and pagagalawin lang natin yan for an elapsed time delta t. And so etong nasa baba is the position of the fluid flow after this delta t. Basically, ayan na yung final na position natin, no? So for me to explain this, let me just emphasize 2 points na titignan natin dito. Yung pasukan, tsaka yung labasan. So reference points lang natin yan to discuss the concept, no? So what continuity is trying to tell us is that the volume or mass of fluid that enters or passes through this line at the left is just equal to the volume or mass na papalabas or nagpapass through sa line at the right. So after some time delta t, you can see here that the violet cylinder ng fluid dito sa right is pumasok, no? Consequently, the green cylinder at the left is lumabas. So this much volume entered and this much volume exited. Pero how do we solve for the volume that entered and exited? So we know the cross-sectional areas of both, no? The cylinder, the violet cylinder, has an area A1, while the green cylinder has an area A2. Ang problema is yung haba nila, no? So at this cross-section, sa may violet na cylinder, anong length ba yung pumasok? O, di ba ito yan? Ito naman yung lumabas. And since alam na natin yan, edi pwede na natin kunin yung volume ng fluid na pumasok tsaka lumabas, no? So let us denote this volume, no, as delta V. And this is equal to A times delta X. Pero let us make use of our velocities, no? So going back to our kinematics, di ba delta X can be computed using V times delta T. So palitan natin, no? Our equation for the volume then is A times B times delta T. So this is for volume 1, yung papasok. Ito naman for volume 2, no? Yung papalabas. And then gaya ng sabi ko kanina, continuity just tells us that the volume of fluid that goes in is equal to the volume that comes out. Okay? Therefore, delta V1 is equal to delta V2. After nyan, salpak lang natin yung equations for V1 and V2. So we have here A1 V1 delta T equal to A2 V2 delta T. And then pwede na natin cancel out yung delta T. So ito na ngayon yung continuity equation natin. Okay? So let us proceed sa Bernoulli's equation. So this was discovered by Daniel Bernoulli noong 1700s. So let me explain this statement later on once na ma-derive natin yung equation mismo. So tingin lang tayo sa figure dito, no? Still, meron tayong fluid flow that is constricting. So again, from left to right, lumiliit yung cross-sectional area ng fluid flow natin. And this time, meron na tayong elevation change from point 1 to point 2. So eto guys, grounded pa din siya on continuity, meaning kung ano man yung volume or mass ng fluid na pumapasok, equal lang yan sa volume or mass ng fluid na lumalabas. Meaning, these cylinders of fluid dito are equal. Ngayon guys, at point 1 and at point 2, meron tayong mechanical energy dyan. So this is E1 and this is E2. So our mechanical energy is just the potential energy added to the kinetic energy. So that is 1/2 mv squared plus mgh. In this case, mgy, no? Kasi denoted as y yung elevation natin. Tas meron lang tayong subscript na 1 to denote that these are our values at point 1. Ganon din for the mechanical energy at point 2. Ngayon, is our energy conserved from E1 to E2? Ang sagot, hindi, no? Kasi we have the pressures at point 1 and at point 2. And meron silang work done on the fluid as we go from point 1 to point 2. And what have we learned from our work energy? So, di ba, binabago ng work done yung energy sa system. Kaya hindi siya conserved. Okay? So, pressure, guys, di ba force distributed, So pressure guys, 'di ba force distributed over an area lang naman 'yan. And we can solve for the force from the given pressure and the cross-sectional area. Pero bakit natin kailangan ng force? Kasi we have to solve for the work done by this pressure, 'di ba? And our equation for work is force times distance. Paano naman yung distance? So looking at figure B, so ayan yung ginalaw ng fluid natin after some time delta T, no? So nag-move siya by delta L1 tsaka delta L2. So eto na ngayon yung mga distances natin. So our work done by pressure 1 therefore is P1 times A1 times delta L1. So P1A1 is our force, delta L1 naman is the distance. How about the work done by P2? So this time, pressure is actually opposite the flow. So as the fluid passes through point 2, kumbaga merong resistance, no? Therefore, our work done by pressure 2 is negative. Okay? So that is negative P2 times A2 times delta L2. So again, P2A2 is the force and delta L2 is the distance. Ngayon, a little bit of recalling lang on our work energy. So if our energy is not conserved, ganito yung magiging equation natin. So that is energy at 1 plus the work done on the system is equal to our energy at 2. So takpan ko lang to so we have space, no? So plugging in all of the equation from earlier dito sa equation na to, we have here 1/2 mv1 squared plus mgy1 plus p1a1 delta L1 minus p2a2 delta L2 equal to 1/2 mv squared plus mgy2. So linisin lang natin yung equation. Di ba we know that mass is just density times the volume from our density equation. So yung density natin is syempre yung density of the fluid that is flowing, no? For our volume naman, eto siya at point 1, eto naman siya at point 2. So 'di ba, sumisilip lang tayo sa fluid flow after some time delta T lang, no? So the volume at point 1 is just the volume of flow that entered. And at point 2, that is just the volume of flow that exited. So kailangan lang natin ng mass ng volume of fluids na yan. Again, mass is just density times the volume. And so, mass is equal to rho times V1 which is A1 delta L1 equal to rho times V2 which is A2 times delta L2. O ngayon, bakit equal? Kasi nga grounded pa din tayo on continuity. Meaning, the mass or volume that flows in is the mass or volume that flows out. So let us just plug this in sa equation natin. So ayan siya. Ngayon 'di ba as I said, our volume at point 1 is just the same as the volume at point 2. Ibig sabihin, A1 delta L1 is equal to A2 delta L2. Now, looking at this equation, lahat-lahat ng terms natin merong volume, either A1 delta L1 or A2 delta L2. Meaning, since equal naman yan, we can cancel them out. And so, we are left with this equation. So, i-rewrite na lang natin yan. So, eto na yung Bernoulli's equation. So, that is the derivation. Okay? So, balik lang tayo dun sa statement kanina. Sabi, where the velocity is high, the pressure is low. And where the velocity is low, the pressure is high. So, actually, simplification lang yan. And it is not true in some condition. Pero, let me explain, no? So, for example, in our fluid flow, yung mga points na tinitignan natin are at the same height, no? Meaning, this rho gy na term is cancelled at both sides. So, pag meron kang malaking velocity at point 1 and maliit na velocity at point 2, so you have to balance this equation out, diba? So, to equalize, you have to have a smaller pressure at point 1. Tapos, dapat meron kang larger pressure at point 2 para this equality can be satisfied. Okay? Sige, let us answer one example. So, water circulates throughout a house in a hot water heating system. If the water is pumped at a speed of 0.50 meters per second through a 4 centimeter diameter pipe in the basement under a pressure of 3 atmosphere, what will be the flow speed and pressure in a 2.6 centimeter diameter pipe on the second floor, 5 meters above? Assume the pipes do not divide into branches. So, ito yung pipeline natin for this problem, no? At the basement, yung pipe natin has a diameter of 4 centimeters. Ayan. So, fluid is flowing at a speed of 0.5 meters per second. Tapos, meron tayong 3 atmosphere of pressure. So, yung height difference natin from the basement to the second floor pipeline is 5 meters, no? For our pipe sa second floor, the only given is the diameter of the pipe, which is 2.6 centimeters. So, we have to solve for the velocity and the pressure. So, unahin natin i-solve si speed, no? So, we will just be using your continuity equation dito. Recall natin that is A1 V1 equal to A2 V2. So, V2 na lang yung unknown dito, no? We know naman the diameters, so we can solve for our areas. So, A1 is pi times 0.04 squared divided by 4. So, 0.04 yan kasi ginawa lang natin in meters yung 4 centimeters. A2 naman is pi times 0.026 squared divided by 4. Again, 0.026 yan kasi kinonvert natin si 2.6 cm to meters. And then, plugging this in sa equation natin along with this speed na 0.5, no? So, we are left with V2. So, solving for V2, we get 1.1834 meters per second. So, ayan na yung velocity natin sa taas. For our pressure naman, we will be using the Bernoulli's equation. So, in here, we know rho, kasi water lang naman to, no? We know velocity 1, and that is 0.5. We know y1, if we consider the bottom pipe as the datum, no? Then, that is 0. Okay? Pressure 1 is 3 atmospheres, or that is 3 times 101.325 kilopascals. Kasi 1 atmosphere is equal to 101.325 kilopascals, no? Pero, 101.325 yan kasi in pascals tayo. So, we also know V2. So, ayun yung nasolve natin kanina, equal to 1.1834. We also know Y2. Again, if the bottom of the pipe or the bottom pipe is considered as the datum, then Y2 is equal to 5 meters. So, natira lang sa atin is P2, no? So, let us plug in values. So, dito, nawala yung term na rho g y1. That is because y1 is 0, gaya ng sabi ko kanina. So, we are left with pressure at 2. So solving for pressure at 2, we get 254,349.7822 pascals. Or in kilopascals, that is 254.35 kilopascals, no? So, ayan na yung sagot. So, I hope nagigets nyo naman, no? So, that is actually it, no, for this video. Pasensya na, medyo lengthy. So, I tried my best to compress all subtopics necessary dito, no? So, ayun lang. Thank you. Bye-bye.